Maybe. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the GITM podcast, where we cover true crime, the paranormal, conspiracy, and whatever else we want to talk about.
Wouldn't be having riots in LA if they'd have just left.
Oh, that's going to get people pissy. But
That's stupid. The whole thing's stupid.
Tonight we're
just give them little IDs.
Tonight we're doing true crime and paranormal. I'm combining the two. This is right in our wheelhouse. This is the wet dream of topics for the GITM podcast.
Para true crime.
Yes.
True paranormal.
Which I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, where true crime turns into the paranormal. With all the killing going on. All the
I'm
murder.
sure it does.
Well,
it probably does. We just haven't looked for it. Well, we gave up on the paranormal for a while.
But tonight we're covering the Lizzie Borden case.
The that bitch
Murder
mysteries.
Ghosts.
I guess it was never really a mystery.
Well, it's still unsolved.
She did it.
Well, spoiler alert, you're going to have to erase that. You're going to have to listen to the rest of it. And why is our video so choppy again?
That'll be all right.
We've had several weeks of it being good and nothing now. So anything you want to... For those new to the podcast, we're going to shoot the shit for about 20 minutes or maybe less. Who knows? And then get to the case. If you've noticed, if you follow us on YouTube, you've noticed I'm cutting it into two. I'm giving people what they want.
Giving them a condensed version.
I'm giving the live stream version and then a video without some of the bullshit in there. More of condensed.
Yes.
This episode's going to suck because of... Are you on the Wi-Fi? Who's on the Wi-Fi?
I am now because I'm checking to see if my shit's on. Can I turn it off from here? The only thing I could think of that would be using Wi-Fi right now would be my Roku, but it's not playing anything.
Vampire fucking energy. No. Oh well.
I'm not anymore.
We're gonna roll with it.
Go ahead. I'm just watching.
How bad is it?
It's fine up to this point. Yeah, it's a little choppy, I think.
Well, we apologize for the video watchers or the video viewers. Maybe next week it'll be better because it's been good for like 3 weeks. I don't know what the hell's going on.
We'll figure it out.
I didn't change anything. But anyway. All right. So anything you want to talk about?
Is the resolution the same?
I didn't change anything. I haven't even dicked with that.
I mean, really, like, literally the only thing I can go turn off is my fucking, Roku. I mean, my Google speaker. But
I don't know. So anything you want to talk about before we get started on the Lizzie case?
The immigrants in the United States government are burning down Los Angeles.
That's not the first time.
That's normal. I feel like you got to burn down
It's called Tuesday.
LA's like a slash and burn city.
It's called Tuesday.
How they grew crops in the Amazon. They just cut everything down and set it on fire every like 7 years. LA is basically the same thing if you think about it.
Is it? I
mean, how often?
I try not to think about LA.
I feel like it's the most rioted city as far as significant riots.
Really?
You got this one. There's a riot over Rodney King.
Yeah.
There's the Zoot Suit riots. Granted, that was a very long time ago.
I don't even remember that one.
That was in like the 40s or 30s.
Well, that's why. I wasn't around then.
Yeah.
Shockingly. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows?
Other than that, I don't know. I think there's some new space shit, and I haven't dove into it yet, though. We'll find out. I'll have that next week.
Have the aliens come to visit us yet?
No, but you know, clickbait stuff, terrifying new discovery, blah, blah, blah. It's probably like a fucking space peanut, like from Joe Dirt. There's a meteor from outer space. He said, no, it's a big old chunk of poopy.
Huh.
What?
I was just looking to see if we had any drop frames. No, we don't even have any drop frames. I don't know what's going on with the... Whoa, we really froze up there.
You got too much porn on your phone.
No, I cleared out everything. Come on now.
I delete Grindr every week before we do the show.
Maybe one day I will get a decent camera and I don't have to use my phone. Even though the phone gives us the best picture.
We can always Wi-Fi boost it.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
You're not on Wi-Fi, are you?
You have to get
Oh.
maybe the battery.
Man, we suck at this. No, it's might be arguably worse now there for a second, but maybe it was just the connection of the cable.
I think it was.
Maybe it's because you inserted. No, it's still jumpy. Oh, fuck it.
We're rolling with it. Fuck them.
There's audio. Like, you know, who watches podcasts?
Everybody, apparently.
Especially this one. We're not very animated. We don't have a massive studio. We could just dedicate this whole room.
Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing else. I mean, other than Elon and fucking Trump beefing.
Any funny stories?
Outside of me running into our one
listener.
Our one viewer.
What has happened
or
to
one
me
listener
in the last week that is funny?
Absolutely nothing.
Not much. That's a surprise. I've had a pretty boring week.
Me too, actually.
No ridiculous things have happened to me. Man, I need to step it up.
I know.
I also need to step up going to the gym.
Me too.
We were talking about that last night. I've been a lazy piece of shit. I've been better on my water, though. My water intake's been better than it was.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. I'm proud of you.
Because I was looking at a new lid for my giant gallon of water. $30.
A giant gallon of water.
Yeah, that jug I got.
Yeah.
$30 just for the lid. I get a whole fucking new setup for like 47.
Nice.
I like a gallon. You don't have to refill it. What?
I'm just getting my notes. Anyway, look at my notes, getting prepared because I figure we're going to start this bitch here.
We might as well. I really got nothing. I'm excited for 28 years later. How to Train Your Dragon is live action now.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll watch it. I liked How to Train Your Dragon. Heck up.
I know I've watched it, but I have a sense I enjoyed it or liked it or didn't despise it, I should say, but I don't really remember much of it outside of Craig Ferguson's voice.
It also had what's his fucking face? The the law-abiding citizen.
Gerard Butler?
Yeah, that one. And I think Justin Long. Wasn't Justin Long, I think, was the voice of the main character? I don't know. Anytime you got an adorable black dragon, that's why it's so good. Because the main character is black. And he lives. Because it's a dragon.
Very interesting.
Dragging these nuts across your forehead.
I'll do better than that.
Give it time. By the end of this episode, I'm sure I'll have at least one zinger.
All right. You ready to get started?
Yeah.
Let me get a drink and we will. Since I am doing this episode, I need to be well hydrated. I don't want to be parched. One summer morning in 1892, her father, we're talking
Columbus
Lizzie.
sailed the ocean blue.
Yes. Her father and stepmother were hacked to death in their home. No screams, no witnesses, and no convictions. Spoiler alert.
Just like Velisca.
Yeah, more than a century later, the blood has dried, but the house still speaks. Was Lizzie Borden a killer or a scapegoat?
Are you gonna fade that audio over the intro when you edit the episode?
I might, maybe.
We should start doing that.
I do.
I've always wanted to be that fucking like the guy that does like the movie trailers. I'll do it.
Yeah.
We can write little openers. In a world where schizophrenia is an unrecognized mental disorder and people get hacked up with axes on a regular basis, one girl, one axe.
What we're going to cover in this episode, basically we're going to talk about the Borden family, the dynamic of the dynamics of the family, what was going on at the time.
Yeah, see, I don't know that much about this, honestly. I never found it to be that interesting.
We're going to talk about the investigation or lack thereof for 1892, I guess it was a good investigation. The trial and modern day hauntings of the Lizzie Borden house.
Wasn't this in like Baltimore or some shit?
No.
Or Boston?
Nope. I will get to it. Don't spoil my beginning of the podcast. So, you ready to get this journey hacked away? Axe hack. Get it?
Steve Perry, this bitch, because Journey.
Fall River, Massachusetts, during the time of the Lizzie Borden murders in 1892, was an interesting place. One of the largest textile manufacturing centers in the U.S. at this time. During the it had over 100 cotton mills.
Racist.
In the north, in Massachusetts. Well,
where do you think they got it from?
Had to bring it from somewhere.
The fuck? They're like, hey, listen, Abe, you can do what you want to do, but I'm still gonna buy that cheap shit.
But it made it. All these mills and all this manufacturing made it a booming working class city. The city had a mix of wealthy industrialists and a growing immigrant or migrant, whatever, working class. Primarily Irish, Portuguese, and French Canadian. That is an interesting mix.
Imagine, dude, that would be the most annoying city to live in. Could you imagine hearing not even the languages, but all of those accents mixed together?
Yeah, oh wow. French Canadian's the worst.
French Canadian's weird Canadian, or weird French.
Yes.
French Canadian sounds like a French person burnt their tongue on a piece of fucking, I don't know, snail or poutine, whatever they eat. And then Portuguese sounds like a drunk Hispanic person with Down syndrome.
I don't think I really paid attention and listened to any Portuguese people.
You've never watched any UFC event? There's always at least really. 3.
If I do watch it, I'm in a bar and there's no sound. I'm probably listening to fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers or something.
They do. They sound like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but in my personal humble opinion, Portuguese people trying to speak English sound like a Hispanic person who has a traumatic brain injury, because most of them do, because they're all UFC fighters.
All right.
Or they've been mugged 6 times in their life.
Now let's dive into the Borden family. The family was a very well-off family. And they lived, but however, what was weird about this family, and you got to give the dad credit, they were super well off, and I'll kind of get into how much old Mr. Borden was worth, but they lived very modestly. The father, Andrew Borden, the stepmother, Abby Dufresne Gray.
That's either you misspelled that or you're being nice.
Why?
That says Durfee. That's what I was laughing at.
Or maybe it is Durfee. I don't know. I
hope it's Durfee.
I think I copy and pasted her name. It's French, damn it.
It's Durfee.
Dufresne.
Durfee? Oh, I'm going with Durfee.
Dufresne.
Durfee. Abby Durfee.
Andrew married Abby 3 years after the death of the girls, or the Lizzie's mother.
Damn, that's fast.
Well, hey, when you were...
Well, I guess not really in those days. 3 years is like a solid eighth of your lifespan back then.
There was 2 sisters in the house. Older sister, Emma, was it Lenora Borden, and Lizzie Borden. Andrew Borden was a wealthy, frugal businessman. He was self-made, started out poor, and worked his way up. He was worth an estimated $300,000. What?
He was a frugal and wealthy businessman.
Yeah.
Sure. Was Borden his given name?
Yes.
Like on his ID?
Don't make any anti-Semitic jokes right now. You did that last week.
You sure we're not talking about the story of Lizzie Schwartz?
No. Anyway, he was a very successful businessman. Started off poor, worked his way up. He was worth an estimated $300,000. To put that into perspective, today he was worth about $10 million. He amassed a considerable wealth.
That's basically poor in today.
He amassed this incredible wealth through real estate, banking, and manufacturing.
Of textiles, I would assume.
Now, it is a misconception that he was in the funeral business. However, this is basically because he was in association with the manufacturing of coffins early on in his career. So he was not a funeral director.
You got to start somewhere.
He did not embalm people.
That might be one of my future episodes.
Yeah.
Some of the fucked up stories about the funeral industry.
Right. Well, that's where maybe we'll get some hauntings.
Thank you. I've always wanted to know that. Like, are all funeral homes fucking haunted?
You would. Now, see, here's the thing. I covered this in a previous episode back before you started, because it always drove me batty when I'd see people ghost hunting or investigating in a cemetery.
You're outside.
Here's why. If the spirit of a body or the ghost of a body, I don't believe they would be at the place where just because their body's there,
right,
the shell is there.
Are they just like a bunch of bad kids?
Right.
They just sit on their own headstones and smoke cigarettes?
If there is any activity at and I think a funeral home plays into this as well, if there is any activity at a gravesite or a cemetery or whatever you want to call it, it's there because of the emotion of the funeral, the people that were at the funeral grieving, imprinted on the atmosphere, and then it's almost like a residual.
Yeah, you would think like mortuaries and funeral homes might be a little fucked up. Like if spirits are real and there is one attached to a body, they're like, what are you cutting open? Where are you going to put that hose? Right up the butthole. If I'm a spirit and I see somebody put an embalming hose in my ass, I don't think that's how it works. But I'm sure it's been done, especially in this period of time. I'm sure that was an experimentation that was done.
I'm sure they tried it at one point or
They're
other.
just shoving fucking salt and vinegar up people's assholes.
Nice.
Smelled like a Lay's factory.
Good news is I think the choppiness of the video worked itself out. I fixed it. We'll go with that. Anyway, getting back to Andrew Borden, his personality, he was often considered cold, authoritarian, basically a prick, which wasn't that...
just a normal dude in 1892?
Yeah, pretty much. And most people who are well-off, wealthy, are a bit prickish.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that just sounds like in 1892, he's just fucking Bill down the street. He's just like, oh, there's a normal man. Look at him hit his kids. Normal.
Oh, hell, that goes up until at least the 80s.
He's hitting his kids, and I don't see a spot of liquor involved. What a man. Give that man the Nobel Peace Prize.
Now, Abby Borden, who was the stepmom...
Bitch.
The relationship between her and the girls was tense and distant.
No.
The sisters referred to her as Miss Borden, not mother, which I know in today's world, that's actually...
That's quite nice.
That's not uncommon. I mean, maybe they use first names,
right,
rather than, which
I'm still fine with. Like, it's a step parent.
Right.
Like that's nothing.
Now,
usually a step parent, they'd be like, what's my name? Stupid fucking whore.
And depending on the age of said child, the younger the child, I can see it being used as mother or father or whatever would be used. But this doesn't strike me as super odd. Of course, maybe back then I wasn't around in 1892. Maybe, so I don't know. Lizzie believed Abby married Andrew for his money. Probably. Odds are.
I'm pretty sure that was pretty. I think that was. I was going to say pretty common back then, but I'm pretty sure that was kind of commonplace back then. How often is there some Romeo and Juliet shit in actual history? How often are we hearing stories of people like they married out of pure love and affection for one another? They cared not how bad one another's genitalia smelled because it was 1892 and soaps just smelled like lye. I don't know what lye smells like. There is lye in soap, right? Isn't that shit like caustic?
I don't know. I have no clue whatsoever.
Jamie, look that up.
We don't have a Jamie. I hate to be the one to tell you. I'll look it up later.
Imaginary Jamie, look that up.
There were rumors of an inheritance dispute between Abby's family and Andrew, which probably fueled the disagreement or the tiff between the girls and the stepmom and the stepmom's family.
What was the dispute?
We will get into it.
Okay.
Now let's talk about Lizzie. And Lizzie was unmarried, living at home with her father and stepmother.
Was she thin?
Not thin Lizzie, no. Well, I guess I don't think she was obese, but I don't know.
Lizzie's got a nax.
Was anybody obese in 1892?
I mean, it was pretty much, I don't know about 1892, but I know the further back you go, the more obesity was a what's the word I'm looking for? A characteristic of the wealthy.
Right, because they could eat.
Yeah.
Back in the Victorian times, I believe.
Could you imagine the power? Just riding around.
We would be monarchs.
Could you imagine? I would just be rolling around on like the most physically stressed horse in the land, just like munching on like leftover packets of oyster crackers from Skyline. Just being like, I want you to kill a man. Here is one cracker. Like, oh, thanks, governor. Yeah, we'd be tyrants.
Yes, we would be definite dictators.
I'd be literally counting out pasta to give to my fucking servants. Like, you get 4 elbow macaronis. You've done a terrible job.
All right.
My favorite, you get 13 penne rigattes. Spell it and you get 14.
Lizzie, like I said earlier, she was unmarried and lived at home with mommy or stepmommy and daddy.
How old was she? She was youngish.
No, she was in her 30s.
Was she? I thought she was in her 20s.
Which is kind of weird. She kind of had a weird. What's the word? I'm drawing a blank. Where people view her. Fuck.
Image?
Yes, image.
Public image?
Public image. Thank you. Wow. Stroke kicked in.
Are we
there.
going to get into why?
Because of this being in her 30s. I think it's 31, 32. Don't quote me on that. I know she was in her 30s. Living at home, unmarried, because back then they got married at like 13.
Yeah, you gotta start popping out kids before you die.
Out little foreshadowing, there might be a reason for this.
She was a man.
We will cover a little bit later. She was active in the church and charity work, taught Sunday school, described as odd and temperamental. So she was a bitch.
Probably had a lot of cats, I'm assuming.
She did not have a lot of friends.
I've got to get Whiskers his kibbles.
She had to have at least 2 cats.
She was very respectful socially, but at home she was a bit of a bitch. So she which most people are.
So she was odd and temperamental, but she was respectful socially. That seems weird. She was a Karen.
Right. Yeah, she was a Karen of 1892.
Ye old Karen. Karina.
She had recent arguments with her stepmother over property transactions, which we'll dive into a little bit more in detail here in a little bit.
Not to be a stickler for parents, but what the fuck business is it of yours?
What do you mean?
You live at home, you don't own shit. Why do you give a fuck who they're giving property to?
Because
they probably gave it to
her we'll cover it a little bit. There's some inheritance issues. See,
stop being a bitch.
There's not any issues with my children because they ain't inheriting shit.
Other than fucking medical inheritance, and not the money.
Just don't pay that shit. They'll be all right.
Like, like for real though, it's like, could you like, if her dad died of natural causes, like that would just basically be, if I was the lawyer, I'd be like, Lizzie gets jack shit because she was a bitch. Who's next? The dog. Everything that's left. Fuck you, Lizzie.
Well, it'll make sense a little bit later. I kind of go in a little bit more detail. Emma, the older sister, was also unmarried and lived at home as well.
Oh,
she was old.
They're killing it.
She was a little older. She's either in late 30s or early 40s.
So done. She's barren.
Obviously, these aren't lookers. And for 1892, you'd have to be pretty fugly. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, you would think, like, what do you have to look like to not be married in 1892? Like, Jesus Christ. Did they look like Goombas from the live action Mario movie? Giant broad shoulders, tiny little heads?
Not attractive. I did not see what Emma looked like, but on the, I believe
the familial
resemblance
Lizzie
on the thumbnail. Anyway,
Apples don't fall far that far from the tree.
Emma was more reserved and more of a private person than Lizzie was. She was very loyal to Lizzie. Why are you laughing at that?
The way like you just painted the picture of Lizzie Borden, and now you're talking about her sister and describing her, makes me think that like Lizzie Borden's just like this big, mean, ugly, dumb bitch from 1892 that's just like walking around, just not even making sense. Like she's the crazy cat lady from The Simpsons. She's just walking around Massachusetts like they're trying to hit on dudes. Like she's just fucking while she rubs their face.
Okay. Like I said, her and Lizzie were close. She was very loyal to her, which as sisters you would generally think is not uncommon.
Yeah. Somebody had to be around her big, dumb, ugly, mean sister to wipe the drool off of her mouth.
Now, like Lizzie, she shared a disdain for Abby for much of the same reasons, which we'll get into.
It's her stepmom. It's
she
normal.
Reportedly had a pact with Lizzie never to accept Abby as a true member of the family.
Well, she's not. She's an outsider. Good for you guys.
Now, let's get into some of the other people that were in the house or during the time of the murder, or around the murder timeline, which we will talk about the timeline. I will timeline it out.
Okay.
Because I got detailed on this bitch.
Deets. He's got all the deets. He's got the 411.
Daddy was working overtime.
I would say only about maybe 50% of the people that might listen to this understand what I mean when I say the 411.
Probably not. Okay, Bridget Sullivan. She was the maid. She was an Irish immigrant employed by the Bordens for about 3 years.
Alcoholic?
Probably. Often caught in the family tension.
How?
Because she was...
You're a maid. Walk away.
Right. Because I'll talk about it a little bit later. I think Abby confided in her a little bit, and talked about, how probably Andrew couldn't get it up because he was old. Because I don't know exactly. I don't think Abby was a spring chicken, but she's probably a little bit
anything over like 34, you're basically on AARP back then.
Right. She slept in the attic and did most of the housework. She disliked her job and especially disliked the tension in the house.
She's drunk Irish Cinderella.
Yeah.
She's shitty Harry Potter.
She plays an intricate role in the murder or investigation, I should say, in the trial. John Morse. Now, John was Lizzie and Emma's Borden's maternal uncle.
Okay.
The brother of Sarah Anthony Morse Borden.
What the fuck?
That is a lot of fucking names.
Go fuck yourself. We've covered this. If you have more than 3 names, go fuck yourself.
That was Lizzie's and Emma's mother. He was described as odd, private, and somewhat cold.
This is just 1892 people.
Yeah.
They should just be like, they were regular circa 1980 or 1892.
He lived a transient life.
He's a bum.
Moving frequently between relatives and business ventures. He reportedly did not have a permanent home.
Was he also Irish?
I don't know exactly what the
Irish or Chinese in 1892 would read.
He arrived on the evening of August 3rd, 1892, just one day before the murders. He claimed to have come to Fall Rivers to discuss property and business matters with Andrew.
Well, did he get kicked out immediately? Like, you're a fucking bum. Get out. No.
He stayed overnight in the guest room. The next morning, August 4th, he left the house after breakfast around 8:45 and reportedly went to visit a cousin. He claimed to have taken a streetcar, visited these relatives, and returned back to the house after the murders had already occurred, around approximately 11 o'clock. Now, let's talk about the family tensions and the dynamics of what's going on there. Go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, there's a lot of teenage angst for not a single teenager involved in this.
Right.
You have some 30-plus-year-olds be like,
I fucking hate that bitch. She'll never be my real mom. My real mom's fucking dead.
Now, the dynamics of the family played a big role in applying a motive to these murders and played a role in the investigation. The whole atmosphere in the house was like a pressure cooker, just waiting to explode, like a bomb, just gonna go off at any moment, and apparently it fucking did. No gay bombs today.
There was 30+ single women living in the house.
A lot of it stemmed from Anthony seemed, or at least in the view or the minds of Lizzie and Emma, showed favoritism towards Abby and her relatives. Of course, he's going to show a little bit of favoritism to his wife.
You got to impress him.
Because she's blowing him.
I hope not. Not in 1892.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. That did go on. I don't think that was a 20th century or 20th century invention.
Tastes like a tube of shoe polish.
In the weeks before the murder, Lizzie and Emma were especially angry. It was all over a property dispute where Andrew had gifted some of Abby's relatives a home.
Okay.
And the house is on Durfee.
Wait, this bitch had a name? Had a street named after her?
Or just could
or her family did?
Probably. I never really. I didn't even make that connection. Or maybe part of her last name, they just took the last name of the street. That way she wouldn't get lost. Fuck, I don't know. The house was valued at approximately $1,000, and he gave it to Abby Borden's half sister. Not even a full sister.
Yeah,
a half sister.
Fuck her.
After protest from Lizzie and Emma, Andrew transferred a deed to another property to them. However, within a few months, the sisters sold the property back to their father for just $1, suggesting that the transfer may have just been a hollow gesture from the father to basically just calm down, girls, and then made him give it back. So
taxes? So
actually, he made $1. He gave it to him, and then
that's what I'm saying. Maybe it was.
She made They made $1 off the deal.
Maybe he was just fucking giving the IRS the runaround on properties.
Naturally, Lizzie and Emma believed that their inheritance was being diluted or threatened by.
Get a job, you fucking losers! Get a job, get married, and get out of the house.
What he gave to Abby and her family. They felt that the property dispute became a symbol of betrayal and inequality within the household. So they were obviously butthurt about this shit.
Yeah, these are some emo chicks.
Both sisters stopped eating meals with the family.
They went on a hunger strike?
No,
probably,
I just think
probably not a bad thing if you're still single in 1892 in your 30s.
I think they just did not eat. Back then, families ate at the dining room table.
Yeah.
I'll be taking my gruel in my room. Thank you. Fuck you, bitch. Abby, father, you're okay. I'm kind of mad at you. Abby, fuck you. Did you make this? I don't want it. I'm getting DoorDash.
It has also been speculated that Lizzie may have stolen some personal belongings from old Abby, some jewelry and shit.
Why are these girls 15?
I don't know. They're just still mean
Were
girls.
they mentally up to par with what their age was supposed to be?
I did not go that deep, but maybe not. I don't know. Now, let's talk about August 4th, the day of the murders, and go over the timeline.
It's 1892. I feel like 1892 A 4.0 GPA is like a 2025 like fucking like yeah. Like if any of these people were around today, I feel like they'd be wearing helmets.
Probably. They rode the short carriage. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, but back then they were like, he's so smart. He's such a great businessman. And in today's world, he's just fucking like throwing poop at people in the boardroom, eating crayons and paint chips.
All right, let's get to the timeline of the day of the murder. Like I said, August 4th. 6 to 6:30, Andrew Borden and Abby Borden wake early, as always. Apparently, they were early risers.
Between 6 and 6:30?
Yeah.
I feel like that's not that early back then.
I wake up before that. Fuck them. Slackers.
I got to pee earlier than that. Go back to sleep.
Bridget began her chores. 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Breakfast and odd behavior started to it.
Wait, Bridget was
the maid.
Yes, just making sure.
Tension was high due to the internal family conflicts. Naturally, Lizzie, Bridget,
wake up mad. Like, fuck.
Lizzie, Bridget, and Abby weren't feeling very well from the night before, possibly because of bad mutton, which Gregory had mentioned in the chat that the father made the people eat rancid food. They think that, of course, I don't think leftovers should in 1882 or 1892 should have been eaten.
You just leave them out and they heat them up like really, really hot.
I think that's on you a little bit.
Are we going to be going down a rabbit hole like this scenario vis-a-vis ergot in the...
No.
Okay.
No. Now, what is mutton again? Is it just a concoction of fucking everything?
I don't fucking know.
I'll Google that, Jamie.
I should know.
Yeah.
I've probably eaten it before. I am fat.
So in this time frame, Abby...
Mutton's, isn't it like, it's like lamb or something like that, isn't it?
Isn't it like lamb's stomach or something?
A mature sheep. So an old sheep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that can't be very good.
I thought mutton... now that you mention, I thought mutton was a baby sheep.
No, that's veal.
Oh, that's a cow.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because the little kid riding sheep's called mutton busting.
If you would have said the word mutton busting to me, zero part of my mind would have thought that it had anything to do with small children riding small
Sounds
sheep.
like a shitty search term on fucking Pornhub.
It does. Dude, it sounds like you'd go on Reddit and people would be like, OMG, check out this new mutton busting video I found. Gooning so hard. I don't know, fucking Reddit. I don't understand Reddit. I get on Reddit because it's hilarious. But like, I don't understand it. I don't understand all the terminology. People be talking about shit, and I'm like, there's a whole world within that fucking app that is terrifying and kind of gay and furry oriented in a lot of ways and shit. But it is hilarious. You should make a Reddit account. You literally go on Reddit and you click on the first post you see and just read the comments. At some point, it will be absolutely hilarious. Like I saw one, it was like somebody was like, I found this growing next to my patio. I have small children. Is this poison ivy ? Or what is it? Poison ivy ? And somebody, the first comment just said, a plant.
All right.
I was cracking up.
Like I said, Lizzie, Bridget, and Abby weren't feeling well because from the night before, possibly because of the bad mutton stew. Lizzie, however...
Wouldn't have felt good after good mutton stew.
Lizzie was being a little conspiratorial.
Oh.
She thought maybe...
She'd been poisoned?
Somebody was trying to poison her. But if Abby... Here's how bright rocket scientist Lizzie was. If anybody was going to poison her, it was going to be Abby, correct? The dispute, the family tension.
Or her dad, because he wasn't tired of her last fucking freeloading off of him.
That's maybe, but anyway. Andrew, Abby, and Bridget ate their breakfast. Abby ordered Bridget to wash the outside windows despite being hot, humid, and her feeling like shit.
And wearing 7 layers because 1892 and we have money.
I mean...
Wait, isn't that why you have a maid?
Yes. But however...
How degrading.
Bridget... Listen, Bridget, you're the fucking maid. Do your fucking job. Don't bitch about doing your job. That's what we pay you fucking 5 pennies for.
Oh, never mind.
Bridget was the maid.
Yeah, no, I misunderstood. I thought she told one of the daughters to go do it. I was like, God damn, that's really degrading. Like we have essentially a lady slave for these activities, but you get to do it today. Fuck you.
No.
That's what you get for stealing my whatever they held valuable in 1892.
Anyway, Bridget was a maid, and she was a little pissy about doing her job. Possibly because, yes, it was hot. Of course, it's Maine or Massachusetts. How hot can it be? And August, I guess, gets kind of hot.
And also, like, who washes the outside of their windows of their house?
Normal people.
I don't think
Oh, who the fuck's calling me?
I don't think I've ever done that. Does it pop up? I thought you started looking at the screen. I was like, no way.
Let me see who's calling. These motherfuckers leave me alone.
Is this another work emergency?
I don't think so. Anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, so once again, Bridget, Abby, not feeling well. Possibly because of stew, blah, 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 not being poisoned, possibly. Abby and Andrew and Bridget eat the breakfast. Of course, if she was feeling bad, how much did she eat? Abby was told Bridget to wash the fucking windows. I don't give a fuck if you're hot. I don't give a fuck if you're sick. Do your fucking job. There ain't no sick days in this bitch.
You think I couldn't find something better to do with that attic than give you a room?
Right.
I have to scrapbook into this fucking parlor because of you.
Now, it was about at this time, Dr. Bowen, the family physician, family doctor, is seen coming.
Family doctor
is seen coming briefly, possibly because Abby had called him earlier or got a hold of him the night before and explained that she was not feeling well.
Yeah.
So he was doing a house call, which doctors used to do.
Porky pigged your way through that one.
That's all, folks. 8:45 a.m. Abby reportedly tells Bridget she's going upstairs to tidy the guest room. The guest room is where John was sleeping, who John is gone at this time. This is likely when Abby was murdered, struck with an axe approximately 11 times, blows to the head, and it was apparently she was looking at her attacker. She was facing her attacker, so she saw the axe being swung.
That's metal.
I mean, I think, this might play a role into this. I mean, I think this is a valuable piece of information.
Did they do the Wild Wild West thing?
No, I don't know.
Where they took that dude's head and they shot the light through it, and somehow their technology said that because of that, they could project the last thing he saw onto the fucking
I don't
wall.
think they had that technology today in this time, or in this story anyway.
Wild Wild West was way before that. Jim West, Desperado.
Jeez.
Wild Wild West.
Where are we at? Let's see here. Okay.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. There we go. 9 o'clock to 10:30. This is the main murder window when you want to think about it. Lizzie's whereabouts are vague at this time. She claims and her story changes. We'll talk about that. She claims she was to be in the barn loft searching for fishing sinkers. Random.
Yeah.
Later, she says she was in the kitchen ironing handkerchiefs.
What?
Bridget is outside finishing the windows, and then she comes in to rest. She later claims that she heard nothing unusual at the time. No screams or sounds of struggle were ever reported by anybody in the house or by neighbors.
Which is horseshit.
Well,
because somebody in the house, even if there wasn't screams, you're going to hear somebody being murdered with a fucking hatchet.
Right.
It's not like, that's not a sneaky way to kill somebody. That's going to be like, I don't want to say loud, but like loud enough that you're going to know something's going on.
But that is the time frame of Abby's murder. Now at 10:30, Andrew Borden returns after running errands downtown. He is let in by Bridget, who reportedly unlocks the door with difficulty because he forgot his key. I guess. I don't know. Or did they even have keys at this time? I don't fucking know.
There's a John Benet Ramsey air to this thing.
Right. He hears Lizzie upstairs laughing. Okay, which is weird. Lizzie tells him Abby has gone. I guess Lizzie comes down at some point.
Excuse me.
Lizzie he yells up, I believe, now that I think about it. That Abby's gone. She went to visit a sick friend. He lies down on the sitting room couch to take a nap. At 10:30, I guess old Abby rode the hog hard that night before. I mean, he'd been up since 6:30. 4 hours later, he's got to take a nap, or he's old. Well, he's old.
Call me crazy. I find that to be a very acceptable time to take a nap. Fuck you.
Shortly after 11, Andrew is killed with 10 to 11 blows to the face while sleeping on the couch. His eyes is split in two.
Sick.
One of his eyes is split in two.
That was a sharp motherfucker.
Yeah, he wasn't fucking around. He was, like I said, struck directly in the face while laying down. The murders occurred approximately 90 minutes after Abby's.
You'd think you'd think when he walked in, he would have been almost able to smell that. Like iron in the air?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
That's a lot of fucking blood.
Well, like you've touched on earlier, the aromas in 1892 were pretty pungent.
Or how good was the construction back then? You'd think there's just it's just raining blood from upstairs, and they're like, he's like, oh my word, what's happened? Is something terrible happened? He's like, no, father,
Bridget's upstairs. She's had her cycle. It's normal.
Now, this is where things get interesting in the timeline. 11:10 to 11:15. Lizzie finds Andrew's body and screams for Bridget. She tells Bridget, "Come quick. Father is dead. Somebody came in and killed him." Dr. Bowen is summoned as a neighbor, as in a neighbor heard this. I believe her name was Alice Russell. She summons Dr. Bowen. Why did she not call the constable or the police or whatever they're called?
At this point, just call the meat wagon. And also, that seems like a very strange thing to say after you've discovered your dad's dead body.
Right. 11:30,
murdered body at that.
Right. At 11:30 to noon, the police do arrive.
Wait, what was the time gap between that?
Hold on. Jesus.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought it was a little longer. I was like, God damn, these guys are like the fucking LA cops.
No, roughly within 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's a fair response time.
The police arrive. Officers begin examining the scene. Abby's body is not found immediately. Lizzie repeats that Abby was visiting with a friend. At noon, a search of the house reveals Abby's corpse upstairs in the guest room. They surmise that she was killed earlier because the blood is already clotted, unlike Andrew's. This confirms 2 separate times of death, suggesting premeditation or a calculated timed murder.
Yeah, and you already caught Lizzie in a lie, kind of.
Well, they don't know this yet. The suspects list at the time, at this early on in the investigation.
There we go. I already see something racist.
Right. The Fall River police did briefly consider other suspects in the early hours of the investigation and early days after the murders besides Lizzie. Okay. There's a rumor of a Portuguese laborer or stranger roaming around town. Bridget Sullivan, the maid, mentioned an unknown man had come to the house a day or two earlier asking about wages owed to him, which is not uncommon. Apparently, remember, Andrew was a bit of a dick, a harsh businessman, so obviously he had some disgruntled former employees.
Right, he's like, I'm sorry, I don't have pesos for you.
This led to rumors that a disgruntled worker, possibly Portuguese man, might have returned seeking vengeance. Witnesses claim to have seen a strange man loitering in the area around the time of the murders.
Again, something that, like, and I'm not even really trying to be funny, I feel like wasn't that uncommon.
Right.
In a
loitering is the only way to get around.
In a metropolitan area back then.
I'm not even sure. Well, it's not a metropolitan area.
Okay, like a semi-densely populated area, if they're that well known for exports of fucking, I don't know, whatever you make out of textiles back then. I guess everything.
The police quickly ruled this brand of suspect out, or the Portuguese stranger person, I guess, out with no forced entry. The doors were locked from the inside. It was the murderers were controlled, quiet in nature, and it made it unlikely that somebody who was not familiar with the house
would have been able to pull
it off so stealthy.
It's surprising that, again, I'm not even really trying to be funny, even though it is unfortunately kind of funny that the foreign person got knocked off the list so fast. You would think that, like, the sheriff or whatever they had back then, constable, would be looking at it and be like, Timothy, what kind of list do you have for suspects for the Borden case? It'd be like, let me see, Portuguese guy, Chinese guy, Irish guy, Polish guy. I like what you've done here. I like that you've written black guy in bold and underlined it with a red line. That's good investigative work.
You're saying they were racist back in 1892.
Probably.
You think? Okay. Anyway, Bridget Sullivan was also a suspect for a short time.
Everyone in the fucking house should be a suspect.
She was home at the time of the murder. She was reportedly frustrated at being ordered to wash the windows on a hot day and not feeling very well. She had motive. That's motive, damn it. And naturally, she knew the house and the routines. She knew that layout of the house.
Yeah.
She knew everybody's routine. But she was ruled out. Why? No clear motive. Being pissy on one day
That's a bit extreme.
does not make a motive. And her testimony remained consistent throughout the investigation. John Morse, who was the girl's uncle, who was visiting at the time, he did have a potential motive. He was involved in this inheritance dispute. And he had been involved in property discussions with Andrew. Now, he was also ruled out eventually. Strong alibi, having visited relatives out of town on the morning thereof. Several people confirmed his whereabouts, so they strengthened his alibi. Emma Borden's location at the time of the murder. During the time of the murders, Emma was staying in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, about 15 miles from Fall River. She had gone to visit friends a few days earlier and had no contact with the family on the day of the murder or in the morning of the murder.
She did it or she knew about it. That bitch didn't have friends.
We'll kind of talk about. She was quickly ruled out because she wasn't in town. The investigation. Now let's get into this, and this is where things get dicey.
Let's just let's just settle it. OJ did this one too.
Probably. With the candlestick in the library. Okay. They quickly surmised.
Underrated game.
I loved Clue.
You know what else was a fucking underrated game?
Life.
You can play that on Switch. What is it? Guess Who?
Oh, yeah. I remember. I used to play that with my daughter.
Dude, I saw a video that I want to do. I want to get drunk and do. It was these girls got drunk together at like a girls' night and they played Guess Who, but you could only you couldn't physically describe the person like with like their attributes. They're sitting there like, this guy probably lives at home with his parents, has an art degree, works part-time at an art exhibit, definitely cats. Like, and they were semi-accurately pulling it off, and it looked fun as fuck.
All right. Let's go over the investigation, what the police were coming up with.
Key forensic details. Oh yeah, I guess in 1892 there was like early forms of forensics.
Yeah. The murder weapon they quickly surmised was something sharp, obviously, and they kind of suspected a hatchet was to blame. Later on, a hatchet with a broken handle is found in the basement.
Tim, what do you think it was? The gashes are about 4 inches long, and it was clearly heavy as shit. Butter knife.
Possibly. It could be.
Oh God, can you imagine getting fucking killed with a butter knife? That would be
torturous.
Awful.
There was no signs of forced entry. The police suspicion of Lizzie did grow at this point, and basically because of her odd behavior. But no bloodstains were found on Lizzie at the time. Lizzie is calm, helpful, but others insist offers inconsistent statements to the police. One of the most suspicious aspects of this investigation was her multiple stories she had at the time. Now, I remember I told you earlier in the timeline, I started off the first one. She was in the barn looking for fishing sinkers.
Yeah, that's the stupidest fucking alibi ever.
But all her story changes several times, and it creates a lot of confusion, and naturally it casts doubt on her innocence.
Yeah.
The initial statement she gave on August 4th, Lizzie first she claimed she was in the kitchen ironing handkerchiefs when Abby went upstairs. Later, she says she may have been in the dining room reading a magazine. Whoa. At another point, she said she was outside in the barn loft looking for lead sinkers for a fishing trip. We hit 3. Where the fuck were you?
Right. And they're also very different.
Right. 3 different places. And I don't know which one of these I fucking would even remotely believe.
What magazine were you reading in 1992, first off?
Wasn't Playboy.
The fucking... what would there be? Sears and Roebuck? Maxim?
I don't know.
Cosmo.
And actually, there's a fourth story she comes up with.
Oh, good.
Later on, she contradicts all these by saying she was outside in the backyard eating pears.
For how fucking long?
Maybe she was fucking... She wasn't eating with the family. She was pissed off on a hunger strike, apparently. She was sneaking pears in the fucking backyard off the pear tree.
Well, that's a lot of pears, though.
I know.
Which that'd be pretty easy to debunk. You literally just look at her and be like, oh, you were eating pears for that long in the garden? Yes, officer. Tell me this. Do you have diarrhea? Not at all, sir. That's a fucking lie, then. There's no way you housed that much fresh fruit and are not shitting in your britches right now, ma'am. You have committed murder.
Like, and you know, but a lot of the story goes that Lizzie came in the house, or was in the house, came in the house, whichever story you want to go with. She found her dad's body. She calls for Bridget from upstairs, although Bridget never hears a scream. Now, what's interesting is Bridget's upstairs. I don't know how big the house is. Lizzie calls for Bridget upstairs.
What is this, the Winchester Mansion?
So Bridget is upstairs at the time. A,
doesn't hear somebody scream.
She doesn't hear anything, and B, she didn't see the body. And it's I'll cover a little bit here.
But
I'll go into how they discovered her body.
But I could explain this. Bridget not hearing this scream.
She's deaf.
Was her attic room flex sealed?
No. Anyway, okay, but
it could have been. I mean,
according to Bridget, Lizzie called to her in a calm voice. Lizzie tells Dr. Bowen her stepmother received a note to visit a sick friend and went out, but the note was never found or mentioned again. Okay? Mm-hmm. Abby's whereabouts. This is before they find her body. She insists that Abby went out.
Of life.
Abby's body is discovered upstairs hours later. Lizzie shows no shock or emotional reaction to that death or the fact that she's been dead.
So she's autistic.
Look at the fucking, if that's her in the fucking thumbnail. It walks like a duck, quacks like a duck.
If it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and it licks windows on a regular basis.
Hey. Okay, where was I at? Now, the statement under interrogation on August 5th and 6th, she continues to change her timeline.
It's a very short timeline.
What?
As far as like investigation and all that shit.
Well, they had who did it.
Well, I guess
they ruled out all the black people.
I guess they're also the black people weren't allowed in the neighborhood, so check that off. Thank God everybody else is safe. The Portuguese guy didn't do it. Thought I had that one for sure.
This is where she says...
There's no Chinamen running around.
This is where her story starts changing. She says she may... This is the barn story. She may have went to the barn for 15 to 20 minutes, even though the loft in the barn was hot as fuck. Anybody?
Lizzie says she may have gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
For 15 to 20 minutes in a hot loft barn looking for lead sinkers.
Yeah, I'm over here building my own synopsis, my own whodunit.
However, upon investigation by these fine police folk, no footprints in the dust were found in the loft of the barn.
Did she have feet?
Yes.
Oh, okay. She said no.
Naturally, at this time of this interrogation, she said she didn't hear anything unusual. When asked about Abby, she said she thought she heard her come in. Now she's saying she thought she was saying she was gone at when the initial time of or the day of.
Yeah. And
now she's saying
she heard her come in the house.
Now she's saying she heard her come in. So
heard her come in
the house.
Assuming, yeah. So it could still potentially fall in line with her original where the fuck was Abby to an extent.
Now, if you're going to commit murder or you want to prove yourself not the murderer, you want to stick to one freaking story.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just as a PSA say, don't do murder.
Yes, don't.
Not a good idea.
Because all of her stories create a logistical gap of where she's at and shows deception.
Yeah. Literally, she's in 4 different fucking places at the same time.
Nobody could drill down exactly where her whereabouts were at the time of the murders. She provided no credible explanation why she saw nothing, heard nothing, and remained clean to blood. And this is going to be, I'm going to touch on this a little bit later on. Now, here at GITN, we like to play devil's advocate and play both sides and give you the whole story.
Yeah. Now we're going to get into the black guy.
No, there are naturally the reasons for these changes. Okay, naturally guilt or deception. She done it. She was lying to cover her ass. However, shock and trauma is a real fucking thing, and it fucks with your memory. So it is very possible that she was traumatized and didn't really remember the timeline or where her whereabouts and all that shit where she was at the time. Very plausible. And apparently, after the murder, or after, you gotta remember, Bowen the doctor showed up first.
Was he also a barber?
No. Apparently, he gave Lizzie morphine.
Oh, good.
After the murders, which may have impacted her clarity and memory.
Probably. I don't think to that extent.
Yeah. Who knows?
There's a lot of morphine.
Morphine. Now, that's...
Like, oh, did I say morphine? I meant heroin. Let her out.
Now, there was an immediate public fascination with this case. It exploded after August 4th. Within 24 hours, newspapers across New England and soon the entire country were reporting on the gruesome murders and even showed up. This was the fucking OJ trial before the OJ trial.
She's the white female OJ.
Yeah.
She's Casey Anthony.
Journalists were camped outside the home on the front yard. They printing sensational headlines like the unlikely suspect. The public was stunned that a well-bred church-going woman could be capable of such violence.
Well-bred?
Yeah.
Does she have AKC paperwork?
Well, think about it. Women at that time, Victorian women
Yeah.
at that time were viewed as nurturing, passive, definitely not axe murderers. Now,
yeah. Well, yeah.
Feminists would say I'm being very sexist right now, but
which I think is stupid. I don't think anybody should desire. Like, we have the ability to murder. So, and your point is,
right. But women at that time,
get out of my face with your green hair.
But unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at, whatever side of the fence you fucking roll on, women were looked as more passive beings.
They had a more traditional role in society,
right,
in the home. Yeah.
You didn't, there weren't a lot of TikTokers on fucking.
They got wet when they got a new oven.
Yeah. But Lizzie was arrested on August 11th.
God, good old times.
So what was that, 6 days?
Miss the good days.
No, 7 days after the 7 days after the murders, she was arrested.
Did she watch a particular VHS tape?
No.
Fuck.
Now, leading up to the arrest, she was never officially ruled out. She was on the list
from jump.
Yeah,
no shit.
Her changing stories, cool demeanor, and lack of grief were a ginormous red flag for the Popo.
Yeah.
She offered no solid alibi. Inconsistent statements made the investigators' jobs super hard, and naturally, you make their job harder, they're going to fucking pin it on you.
Right.
Like they did OJ.
Well, because realistically, he did it. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. And realistically, if you're making an investigator's job hard, that is, in my mind, traditionally going to make them investigate you.
Right.
You would think that telling them the truth, whether you done it or you didn't, would not necessarily make their life hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're making their life hard. Clearly, you're being deceptive in some type of way, or you did fucking morphine and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Right. Now, the lack of forced entry and long gap between murders made an outside intruder very unlikely. So if, let's just say, the Portuguese man, stranger, did these murders.
And he came back.
Did he murder Abby, leave, and come back and kill Andrew? Or did he just hang out in the fucking house for the time period?
Cup of coffee and an apple fritter until he came home? Or what do you think anybody ever came up with the asinine suggestion? Like, what if, now hear me out, detectives, 2 murderers, same method of murder, 2 completely different people, absolutely unconnected.
Right. Now, this is where another nail in Lizzie's coffin. On August 7th, Lizzie is seen by a witness burning a blue dress in the kitchen stove.
Yeah?
She claimed it was ruined by red paint. This act of destroying possible evidence.
No shit. No, this is evidence. There's no possible here.
Red flag number 2.
What the fuck? My parents just got murdered with an axe. I'm burning this dress because it had red paint on it. No big deal.
So like I said, Lizzie was arrested August 11th. She was taken to the Fall Rivers jail, where she spent nearly 10 months in jail awaiting trial.
Good. Her doing that dress thing is literally like me looking you dead in the eyes and just ripping a fart audibly and be like, wasn't me.
At the time of her arrest, she is reported that she is calm and composed.
Because she's on fucking morphine.
I think if I was being arrested for murder, I would be a little pissy, and probably, when I say pissy, I mean pissing my pants. Just saying. Now,
would never take me alive, coppers.
The trial that's shocked the nation. Yeah, remember this was
anybody shocked?
Yeah. Okay. After the axe murders, Lizzie went on trial. The trial took place in New Bedford, Massachusetts. It quickly became one of the first true media spectacles in American legal history. The courtroom was packed with reporters, lawyers, and spectators. Every detail from Lizzie's wardrobe to her facial expressions were analyzed and printed in newspapers coast to coast.
God damn.
Okay, let's talk about kind of how the defense and...
I was gonna say that's a pretty big fucking deal, but then I thought about it. 1892, they had telegraphs and shit like that, so the travel time wouldn't be that crazy either.
The prosecution's main thing was Lizzie had motive, means, and opportunity to commit these murders. The defense leaned heavily into the idea of that a young, respectable woman simply could not commit such a heinous crime, kind of playing on that Victorian feminine role.
Right.
Okay. Now,
how could but a mere woman do such atrocities?
The prosecution was climbing an uphill battle on this from jump.
How?
There were no witnesses to the murder.
So?
The only real witness was seeing her burn a dress
covered in red paint 2 days after her parents got fucking brutally murdered.
There was no physical evidence directly tying Lizzie to the murders. And the jury bias. And it kind of goes back to that, how people viewed Victorian women at the time. Mm-hmm. Social norms that resisted believing that a proper woman could commit such a heinous murder.
Should just good cop, bad copter. Works every time.
Their entire case was circumstantial. The hatchet head with the broken handle was introduced. It didn't really tie it to they couldn't tie it to anybody.
Well, we were almost 100 years out of DNA testing. So, that's not a thing.
Right. And it didn't show signs of blood. But the prosecution said it must have been cleaned.
Well, yeah.
Burning the dress is their kind of, I don't want to say ace in the hole, but that's the best thing they got.
Right. Their smoking gun.
Alice Russell, basically, like I said earlier, was a friend of Lizzie's, testified 2 days after the murders that she saw, or I guess testified isn't the word, told investigators that Lizzie burned a blue dress in the stove, blah, blah, blah.
Snitch.
She said it was stained with red paint. The prosecution suggested that the dress may have been bloodstained and was destroyed to eliminate evidence.
I would have to say yes.
But it's circumstantial.
True.
This is the equivalent of wearing a Metallica t-shirt and being charged for murder.
Hearsay.
That was a West Memphis 3 throwback, so look it up. And the biggest nail in her coffin, in my opinion, is the inconsistent statements.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was all over the place. She was all over the place.
And they were very different at that. They weren't even like, there wasn't even really any crossover with any of them.
Right. Her demeanor throughout the whole thing, she seemed to be calm, cool, and collected.
Well, she's autistic.
Or she was whacked up on morphine. Who knows? This note
she's an artist.
This note that Lizzie claimed that Abby received from a friend of the morning of the murders requesting her presence, to come see me. I ain't feeling good. No note was ever found, and no friend ever came forward.
Because she didn't have any.
Or she didn't go anywhere. Bridget Sullivan, who is the maid, once again, did testify. She testified that Lizzie was the only other person known to be home during both murders. She heard nothing. She was inside during, and for Abby's murder, she was probably outside cleaning the windows, cussing, bitching, going, this bitch fucking making me.
I hope she gets murdered with an axe.
But during Andrew's murder, she was inside. Her testimony supported the timeline that Lizzie was alone with both victims.
Was this chick a fucking ninja?
Yep. So I'm going to give you a guess. What was the verdict?
I can already see it.
I know you can see it. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
I guess.
She was found not guilty on June 20th of 1893.
But that's the shitty part is like, you can't find her guilty. Like you literally cannot.
Right.
In a court of law with the evidence that is given, you can't fucking convict her.
Right. I don't disagree.
Which I find fucking ridiculous. I feel like it's a guaranteed, it's a bet. It was either her or fucking the maid.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Or a black guy.
Basically, the jury...
or a Portuguese guy, or a Chinese guy, or an Irish guy. Everybody that's not a white Anglo-Saxon American citizen also on the list.
The jury deliberated for a whopping 90 minutes and said, not guilty, bitches.
Hey, you can't talk shit about that. 90 minutes in 1892 is like a legitimate chunk of your life.
Now, the verdict had a mixed reaction. It shocked some, but many people in the courtroom applauded and wept with joy.
Why? Is this chick she's the pre-1900 Gypsy Rose? Basically,
the jury felt that there was enough reasonable doubt where they could not convict her.
Yeah.
And the lack of physical evidence. Now,
she fucking did it, but I agree with them.
Lizzie returned home to Fall River after these murders, but life was never the same.
Oh, shit.
Though acquitted, she was socially ostracized by most of the community. Rumors and gossip persisted that she basically, which is kind of weird that she got away with it. But I guess, depending on where you were, maybe, because like I said, it stated earlier, some people applauded.
Yeah.
But maybe the people in the home, you gotta remember, this was in New Bedford? I don't know exactly how.
I'd imagine the people applauding were from somewhere like Seattle or Portland,
But people maybe in her hometown were like, this bitch got away with murder. Now, in 1884, Lizzie and Emma moved into a new house. Now, what I didn't mention earlier, Lizzie and Emma were a little butthurt. And one of the things that they despise or didn't like about their dad is he made them live modestly. So what do these bitches do?
So you remember My Super Sweet 16 on MTV back in the day?
No.
They're those fucking hoes. The girls that got mad and threw tantrums because they're like, I wanted the Porsche, not the Mercedes.
So Liz, after them in 1884, they moved into a new house.
They bought a fucking mansion.
They bought a large, elegant home in the Hills neighborhood of Fall Rivers. in the hills is like, that's where the rich folk were.
That's traditionally where it is anyway.
Right.
Or where you run to.
Lizzie named the house Maplecroft and tried to reinvent herself as a cultured, independent woman.
Fuck yourself. Anybody who names their fucking house is a piece of shit, and she should go to jail just for that.
She began using the name of Lisbeth A. Borden.
Sneaky.
Perhaps
they'll never figure that one out.
Maybe it was to try to distance herself from the old Lizzie Borden trial.
No, I don't know who you think I am. I'm J.O. Sampson.
Eventually, around 1905, Lizzie and Emma had a falling out. Emma moved out of Maplecroft, which is what she called the house, which is a little
fuck off
pretentious naming a fucking house. I call this piece of shit.
Right. I'm going to name every place I live in now.
This is called the outhouse.
Welcome to my home. I call it Arnold.
They never reconciled, and Emma refused, or it's reported that she refused to ever speak to Lizzie again. The reason for the rift is still unclear. Some speculate it had to do with Lizzie's involvement with the theater people or a possible scandalous relationship.
Theater people? Is that like old carnies?
I guess so. I don't know. I'm gonna get into touch on that scandalous relationship in a bit. Lizzie's death, or Elizabeth at this time's death. She dies June 1st, 1927, alone and wealthy at the age of 66.
Good.
Emma died just 9 days later in New Hampshire. Both sisters are buried beside their father, mother, and stepmother in Oak Grove Cemetery, Falls River.
That's a good it's a good way to cover it up even after death.
Now, I wanted to spice this episode up, so I naturally said, you know what? Let's find some crazy motives. This one, I believe. Repressed anger over menstruation. Lizzie may have been menstruating. I can't even say it with a straight face at the time.
This is
combined
an
with
theory?
Victorian repression, it's created a psychological breaking point, causing her to just go on a double homicide axe murder. I guess they had no Midol back then. I don't fucking know. What's that shit that?
Wait, holy shit! So my joke earlier actually has made it full circle.
That's why I chuckled when you said it.
That's an actual theory?
Yeah, well,
that's a bit extreme.
It's, a wild theory that suppressed sexual identity or relationship scandal. Some historians suggest Lizzie may have been in a romantic relationship with another woman.
Ellie.
In this theory,
Ellie, run.
Andrew and Abby may have threatened exposure or tried to intervene.
Because she was gay?
Yes. The motive, fearance of a scandal, social ruin, and personal betrayal caused her to go to death.
I mean, I get it. It was a different time, but that's fucking
Now, another theory is Lizzie knew who the killer was, possibly Bridget, Emma, or even the mysterious uncle.
Oh, because it says a mysterious uncle. I was like, wait, hold on. Is there another pissed off uncle in this thing?
I don't think so.
Is he the funkle?
Right. Her lies and how she reacted immediately after the murder, and her weird stories and how they changed and morphed could kind of be a reason that what she was covering for somebody.
Yeah, throwing him off the trail.
Now, is it possible? Let's speculate here a little bit, because that's what we do. Let's make some shit up. Okay. What if all these are true? Lizzie was menstruating. Lizzie was pissed off.
She was eating pears.
Lizzie was celebrating Gay Pride Month, which more to it. Yeah. More power to her, baby.
If she was gay,
Daddy,
that's fine.
And stepmommy were a little pissy. In 1892, I don't think it was well liked.
They were pissy over pussy.
There was money issues. Daddy was gonna sending probably.
What if she was fucking the maid?
Dun dun dun. Maybe.
Or the sister.
No, I don't think it was. Maybe. Who fucking knows? Maybe it was a threesome. Fuck, I don't know. What if all three of them, Emma, Bridget.
Bridget was
the maid.
Bridget was knocking down both of them.
There is some people that believe Bridget and Lizzie were,
Scissor sisters.
Yes.
Oh,
so
that's an interesting. Well, scissor me timbers. That's an interesting thought process.
Maybe this was a big plan. How
for gay love? If it was in the name of gay love, I'm okay with the murders.
Think about it. Lizzie had the better reputation of the two sisters.
That's not saying a lot.
She was she was socially accepted outside of the house. Emma was a little bit more, recluse. Emma had a clear-cut alibi from a few days before she left town, making sure she was out of it. That just leaves Maid and Lizzie the primary suspects
to be gay murderers.
So, I mean, it's very possible. I don't know. So
I'm starting to think that this is in fact what exactly happened.
Nobody knows who did it, but let's be honest, that bitch killed them. Killed them both.
Or she knows who did it, or she knows exactly who did it. Because it was her lesbian lover, Bridget.
Maybe. Very possible. I don't know.
Because you know.
The only kink in the threesome theory.
They were fucking the uncle too.
Oh, maybe it was.
This could be completely unrelated, but what some people have referred in poor taste referred to vaginas as.
Oh, what? Do I even want to know this?
An axe wound.
Oh, God. I haven't heard that since.
I wonder if that's where
90s.
this comes from.
I don't know.
It'd be fucking interesting if it was.
What? The 80s called and they want their shit back. Jesus Christ.
That's so funny. Last time I heard it fell off my dinosaur.
Okay, let's talk about the Lizzie Borden house now.
It's haunted.
I believe it's located in 92 2nd Street, Fall River, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's still the same name of the city?
Yes. Now it operates as a bed and breakfast and museum.
I'd crash. It's expensive as fuck, too, isn't it? I think I've looked into it. I'm pretty sure it's fucking $250 a night.
Visitors can stay in the actual murder rooms.
I'd do it.
I think there was what's that podcast with the two girls? Morbid. They did an episode. They recorded an episode from the house. Yeah.
Of course they did. They do much more. They do much better research than us.
Let's see. They basically have a lot of. It's recreated in the style of the time of 1892. They have crime scene photos, artifacts. At least some original furniture, or at least close replicas, and they give guided tours.
Or it's either that or really well painted IKEA stuff.
Now let's get to the haunting stuff. Apparitions have been seen. Shadowy figures are often seen, especially near the stairs and the sitting room couch where Andrew was killed.
He did.
Guests and staff have reported seeing a woman in a Victorian dress believed to be Abby Borden wandering the second floor or standing silently in the guest bedroom. Oh, I forgot to mention in the guest bedroom where she died.
Bedroom?
The guest bedroom. I forget. I thought I had my notes. I guess I didn't. When they discovered her body, you know how they discovered her body?
How?
The police walked upstairs and they could see the body before they even got to the top of the stairs. So how did Bridget fucking not see the fucking body?
Right.
Anyway, sorry. I regress. Disembodied voices are often seen or heard. EVPs have seen. If you don't know what EVPs are, go look it up or watch a previous episode.
You're in the wrong podcast.
They've captured ghost whispers, groans, and faint cries. Some investigators have reported hearing a woman sobbing or calling for help.
I don't know if Abby would have really had much time to do either of those things if she got hit in the face with an axe.
In the basement, low murmuring has been recorded and is sometimes heard when no one else is present.
That's just the furnace from Home Alone.
Probably. You mean Home Alone or Christmas Story?
Home Alone. When he goes downstairs and he yells at him.
Oh.
He's like, "Rah!" And he drops the laundry.
Now, this is the better stuff. Doors are known to open and close on their own, often in response to questions during ghost hunts.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Beds appear to have been sat on or disturbed, especially in the guest bedroom where Abby was murdered.
This is
Somebody was fucking on it.
This is a giant fat maintenance guy.
Some guests report cold spots, bed sheets being tugged during the night.
That can be, I don't know how it can be explained, but like I've had shit like that happen, and like it was definitely just like something.
Right.
Like it wasn't fucking a haunting.
Right. Footsteps are frequently heard on the second and third floors, particularly in the servants' staircase, where old Bridget would hang out at the time. Knocking, banging, and floors creaks occur when no one is there. This house is old. That house is fucking old.
And no one's there. Who cares?
Well, probably, a good investigator leaves the fucking recorder.
Yeah, but if no one's there, nobody cares.
The attic where Bridget slept is often reported as the most active location.
Because she did it.
Her spirit feels guilt and she's trapped. That's her purgatory.
There's a hand-whittled dildo in the floorboards that keeps her spirit there.
Cold spots, cold drafts are reported, often without any physical source. Investigators show significant temperature fluctuations, especially in the murder locations. This one's interesting, which I kind of like, and I kind of, it's kind of weird. Mirror and reflection phenomenon. Some guests have claimed to see faces appear in the mirror, especially in Andrew's bedroom. A few have said someone has seen someone standing behind them in the mirror only to turn and no one's there. There naturally you get some responses. Knock twice if you're a lesbian lover of Lizzie Borden. Paranormal teams using spirit boxes, EMF detectors, and dowsing rods. Oh, really? Often report what seems to be intelligent responses. All right. Yeah. Spirit boxes,
they're fun.
I don't know the validity of them. Dowsing rods, too much all
you need is water under the house.
Right. EMF detectors, when you can get spikes, I think that's interesting.
But it still doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. It makes it more intriguing. I will say that. Guests ask questions and receive yes or no knocks, that's either one hell of a coincidence or maybe something. Now the flashlight trick, I don't know. It made it big, with ghost hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Where you basically unscrew
it just enough
to where it goes off, and you knock the floor, you fart crossways, you can make it go off. So I don't know. Now let's go over some of the guests and staff experiences that has been reported. A couple staying overnight in the guest room reported waking up around 3 a.m. when the wife felt the bed dip down beside her, as if someone had sat on the edge. When they turned on the light, no one was there, but the impression on the blanket remained for several seconds before flattening out. Okay, I have a question though. It says does it say at the...
Of course, it was the witching hour.
It just says at the edge of the bed. I wonder if it was at the bottom of the bed, because if unless she didn't get up or her husband got up, you had to move the blankets to get up to turn on the light.
Mm-hmm.
That would move some shit. Anyway, interesting though. Locked in the bathroom reported by a staff member. This would fucking piss me off.
It's just an old house.
A female staff member once became trapped inside the bathroom when the doorknob jammed. Something or somebody basically locked her in the bathroom. She reported hearing a faint giggle from the hallway.
She got R. Kelly'd.
And then footsteps outside the door. The door finally opened on its own after several minutes.
The staff member thing makes that weird to me too.
Well,
because you do well from leaning into the shit.
Right. I mean, the giggling makes it kind of interesting, but did somebody just...
It could just been some little fucking asshole kid.
Okay, woman in the hall from a paranormal investigating team. During
Is this the same story that you hear in every other Victorian era haunting?
During a nighttime investigation, a visiting paranormal researcher saw a translucent woman in an old-fashioned dress.
Wow.
This happened as they were walking past Lizzie's bedroom, or what was. EMF meters reported a spike just after the sighting. Interesting, but doesn't prove shit. The phantom handprint by a tourist, or from a tourist photo. A guest looked at a photo, or took a photo on the couch where Andrew Borden was killed. When the photo was developed, or later checked on digital, whatever, depending on what time it was, a clear handprint was visible on the arm of the couch, too large to belong to any of the guests and not seen when the photo was taken.
Like an impression?
Yes.
How the fuck can you see that?
Oh, we are basically done. So, some theories behind the haunting. Some believe that it's Abby and Andrew's spirit haunting the, if anything, that...
If it's anybody,
right.
Yeah.
Others think Lizzie herself may haunt the house, especially since her legacy is so bound to the property.
Yeah, but she seemed to live a pretty solid life after that.
Yeah. Some psychics claim the house holds a kind of emotional imprint, a residual haunting that replays part of the tragedy, which I think that is probably the most legitimate of all of them.
The spooky movie theater theory.
I mean, I firmly believe that when something that traumatic event probably did imprint on the house or in the environment around the house, and what people are hearing and seeing is more of a residual.
Well, then you make the argument of like people say that natural fibers and shit hold on to stuff better, so you'd assume most of the house is wood as well on top of everything else.
Right. So that is the Lizzie Borden case.
I think she did it.
She did it.
I don't know if she did it alone. I don't know if she was a lesbian. I don't know.
All of the above. I mean,
because you would think the fucking the maid's got to be in on it to some extent,
right?
Which I don't blame her. She's a maid. I'm pretty sure most house servants or whatever you call
wanted
them
to kill the
probably wouldn't be terribly mad if they're fucking whatever you call them turned up kilt
employers. Sure.
Master and mistress.
I don't think they were called it that at that time.
I don't know. I legitimately don't. I don't have no fucking idea.
I think it is more likely that she did it,
Lizzie,
or I think she did it. But I think it probably was a plan between the three. Just conveniently, Emma was out of town.
Mm-hmm. Somebody did it.
But I'd have to agree with the jury's finding. There was not enough physical evidence. It was all circumstantial. You could not convict her on what you had. Of course, I think most people should not have been convicted back in 1890.
Right.
Because their physical evidence wasn't very good.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine how hard you would be sweating if you were a black guy in that neighborhood at the time?
Yeah.
Like,
definitely wouldn't be leaving town suddenly.
I don't even fuck with white girls like that.
I mean, but I think she definitely fucking did it. I think the motive is so strong.
Mm-hmm. See, and this would have worked out better, honestly, if there was more freedom to black people. This would have been easier to solve. If you had one middle-aged, nosy black lady sitting on her front porch across the street, this shit is solved. She's like, oh, is that frumpy bitch in the back? I seen it. It's a fair point.
Okay, I can't necessarily argue with.
I don't know. Again, if she didn't do it, she knows enough about it that she's guilty, basically, of it anyway.
Or she at least knows who did it.
Yeah. And she had to have been in on it to some degree.
Because you remember earlier in the podcast, I said Andrew had to be let in.
Yeah.
So the doors were obviously locked. So there's no forced entry. Nobody kicked in the door.
So either somebody in the house did it or they let the person in that did it.
Yeah. I mean, So, if it doesn't fit, you must quit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like she rightfully didn't get charged for it, but she
got charged. She
didn't get convicted.
Right. Well, that's all for the Lizzie case.
Fuck her.
I think it was her time of the month, and she was pissed off. Abby was fucking with her inheritance.
It just went from 0 to Carrie real quick.
She was tired of living in the bad part of town when they were millionaires. She wanted to live up in the hills with...
Was it even the bad part of town?
It was the...
Probably close to his businesses.
The middle class of the... I would assume.
Oh,
but you know, some wealthy people are like that. They want their kids to struggle. You know, they don't want to.
They should.
You know, they want to hand them
Make them work.
Make them earn their fucking keep.
Yeah. Get out there and wash those windows, bitch.
Hey, you're gonna, either teach your kids a valuable lesson, or you're gonna get an axe to the fucking head 10 to 11 times.
It's a win-win.
Those are the two options.
It's a win-win. At this point, they had lived a nice, ripe life for the year of 1892.
Yeah, I think
if I live into another century, I will turn to ash, surely.
Andrew was in his 60s, 63.
Oh, yeah, he was on his way out anyway.
Oh,
that was a mercy killing.
Yeah.
She basically Jack Kevorkian.
But, and moral of the story, don't be a dick, and maybe nobody will split your eye open with an axe, or in half with an axe.
That's a pretty sick detail.
I know it was. I mean, that's some accuracy right there.
I'd imagine, like, it's the 1890s, so all the cops were probably like, so that's what it looks like inside one of those.
But can you imagine if she did... I mean, she obviously had to change clothes. If she did, just say she did do it, which plays into the burning of the dress. Because I've watched Dexter. I know about blood splatter. There would be blood splatter
everywhere.
All over the place.
It'd be everywhere.
Because the amount of force an axe...
That's why I wasn't even really kidding when I made the joke about blood dripping through the ceiling. Like, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the only thing that kind of makes me not to be a sexist, I guess.
Well, we're gonna be.
I mean, an axe is a heavy weapon.
Well, it's a hatchet too, so it's not even
a hatchet. So
it's still not even that heavy.
No, it's not even that heavy. I was thinking of it. A hatchet is half of an axe.
Yeah. Now, if it was a maul, you can automatically count Victorian women out.
The amount of energy and the adrenaline dump,
oh, for sure.
I don't know if you could pull. I think for anybody it'd be kind of hard to kill somebody, have that adrenaline spike, and then that adrenaline dump, and then repeat it a half hour, 45 minutes later.
You think you take a nap.
Right. I mean, back to back, I can see.
Yeah.
Kill her, walk downstairs, kill him. I see that, but
unless she killed the stepmom and then she banged it out with Bridget until the dad came home, and then she
told Bridget to service me real quick.
Yeah.
Let me recoup.
I split my mom's face open. Now split these thighs open, bitch. Something romantic like that.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Kind of stuff from Fabio books.
Is that how? I've never read a Fabio book.
I don't fucking know.
Is that 50 Shades of Grey kind of shit?
Well, for this one to be 50 Shades of Gay.
So I don't know. I think she probably... I think they all three were in on it.
Even if they weren't in on the original plan, even if they weren't in on the original plan, they knew something at some point.
All right. Okay, that's all I got.
The sister just sitting there, she's telling her like future like friends, she's like, that bitch literally said, I'm gonna cut him up with an axe, and she fucking did it. You didn't tell him?
Maybe
fuck no. You see what she did to them?
I might look into seeing how much it could maybe go up to Fall River, Massachusetts.
I think it's like a couple $100.
Well, fuck you guys.
We'll share the room. We'll share the bed.
Ooh.
As long as I have sheets, one under the sheet, one over the sheet.
Is that how it works these days?
Yeah.
Back in 1892, you had one leg on, one leg off. That was your safe.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
That's stupid.
That wasn't gay.
We'll just bundle like the Amish.
Just 2 sleeping bags.
Yeah. That we get tied into.
All right.
That would be the night that there would be some like crazy like 13 ghosts poltergeist type shit. We just get like fucking murdered horrifically in our fucking beds. Like, ah!
That would suck. All right. That's all I got for the Lizzie Borden. Murders, lies, and ghosts.
She did it.
She did it. She might have been a lesbian.
She's white, female, OJ.
That had no bearing in the murders. That does not make her guilty of being a lesbian.
Just makes her guilty of being awesome.
All right. We will see you next week for another fun-filled adventure.
No idea what it's going to be.
It'll probably be useless.
Might be another Pride episode.
Great.
Find a gay serial killer.
I look forward to those shorts tanking as well.
There's plenty of gay serial killers.
I think isn't that
serial killers with gay activity?
Wasn't Bundy like the only one not gay?
Or was he?
Oh, well, he was a ladies' man. Any man that could pick up somebody with a
ladies'
VW
man, gay.
Oh, is that what it is? No, I don't know. I don't think we've never actually done an episode on Bundy.
Yeah, because I don't support women trying to fuck serial killers. I don't understand it. He's not that attractive. He's not like hideous, but
I don't know. What was it? Neither was Ramirez, but he got all kind of love letters, and that dude was fugly.
He looked a lot better after they gave him new teeth.
I mean, at the time of the murder, he looked fucking scary. Anyway, all right.
He did.
We are out of here. Thank you for checking us out. Be sure to come back next week. Be sure to check out the YouTube channel. Like, subscribe. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. Join us for our live streams. That way you can get involved in the chat. We thank you.
Instagram, TikTok stuff.
Yeah. It's all in the show notes. So we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye.